adding that little question at the end that's speaking directly to your ideal reader does so much to just like draw your reader in their brain. They're like reading it. They're like, yeah, I feel that way too. I think dogs are cute too. Like just adding that affirmative language to your captions, inviting your reader into your story, into what you're saying is just such a great way to drive deeper connection. And it's so simple. So many of these tips are so simple, but it's just things that we need to remind ourselves of.
Hey, my feel good friend. I hope that you're having an awesome week. I just want to say right now, if you are feeling kind of stressed out, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like the itch to get outside and just enjoy your summer, I am right there with you. And it's been a theme that's been popping up lately in my life. Through May, I was really working so hard as I launched my online course, The Social Map. And I was having a lot of fun doing it, but at the same time, showing up and giving all of that energy, putting all of that energy toward quote unquote work. It was really draining for me in a lot of ways. While I still really enjoyed showing up and selling, man, by the end of May, I was exhausted. And so I just wanted to share that if you are feeling that way now, or if you have ever been feeling that way in the past or in the future, you're not alone. You know what I mean? Sometimes I do think that we go through seasons of push, hard, work. And we do really deserve to acknowledge that we're feeling stressed out, slow down, take a deep breath, and also give ourselves the opportunity to rest and process and rejuvenate our energy when we can, right? So that's just something that has been popping up today, this week, the past month in my life. And so I just wanted to share that with you in case you were feeling the same way. It's okay to slow down. It's okay to take a deep breath. It's okay to realize, wow, I have been working hard, going for the past, however long. And I really need to give myself an opportunity to slow down, breathe, rejuvenate my energy, and maybe enjoy your summer a little bit, right? Anyway, that is what the focus of June is for me. And so today I'm actually going to be sharing a replay of an IG Live that I did last month on Instagram, because I do feel that a lot of the content I shared was super valuable. And I wanted to share it with you today on the podcast. We are talking all about writing better Instagram captions. And this is something that I chat about a lot on this show because I'm a word nerd. You might know this about me already. So you may hear information that you have heard before, but I truly think that sometimes we do need to hear things again and again and again. Honestly, I am one of those people. I realize that about myself. I love to listen to things again and again and again, and really soak up the information. So I will be sharing a little bit about brand voice and honing in on that. But I also share tips for writing awesome captions, including my opinion on emojis. So if that's something you've been wondering, if it's okay to use emojis, how to use emojis, all those things, that is something that I definitely cover in this IG Live replay, thanks to an awesome audience question, I might add. But I do truly think that you will enjoy this episode if you struggle with caption writing, if you struggle with honing in on your brand's voice, if you struggle with the question to use emojis or not to use emojis. Now I'm just cracking myself up over here. Anyway, my friend, I just wanted to give you a little intro into what is happening in this episode today. And once again, remind you that if you have been feeling stressed out in your business, I've been there too. If you have been feeling like you just can't go any farther, you need to do something that allows you to relax and rejuvenate your energy, I'm right there with you too. Okay. So, just wanted to share that little bit of love, and I hope that you enjoy this IG Live replay about how you can write better captions. Hey friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. On this show, we chat about social media strategy and mindset tips with a focus on, you guessed it, feeling good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. Do you know what your brand vibe is on Instagram? I have a new fun quiz that's just for you, my friend. I, of all people, know how hard it is to figure out how the heck you're supposed to translate your brand to the gram. And with this quick 7-question quiz, we will help you hone in on your brand's personality, voice, and visuals so that you can show up consistently and create content that looks beautiful and feels on brand for you. This quiz is so awesome. It's been a long time coming, and I know that you're going to have a lot of fun with it. Plus, the results will help you show up in the best way for you. If you'd like to check out our new brand vibe quiz, just head to feelgoodsocial.com/quiz. Pretty easy. Head to feelgoodsocial.com/quiz to find out what your brand's vibe is on social media and start showing up there for your brand.
Welcome to this Instagram Live. My name is Kinsey. I'm the head honcho over at Feel Good Social, and I help down-to-earth entrepreneurs like yourself use social media, market your business on Instagram in the best way that's not going to waste your precious time or make you feel like you're losing your soul and sanity in the process. Because I definitely know how overwhelming, time-consuming, just plain confusing social media can be, and I'm here to help. So today I wanted to hop on this Instagram Live to chat with you about how you can write captions that draw your ideal customer in, that they can relate to, that they will actually want to read, and that they will take action on, right? Because that is one of the most important things when it comes to showing up on social media, making sure that you are speaking directly to your ideal people so that you can grow that following of the people who are actually going to support you and buy from you. And today we are talking about how you can do that with your captions. You may or may not know this if you're watching live or watching the replay. I am a little bit of a word nerd. I absolutely love figuring out how we can hone in on your brand's voice and craft your messaging so that you can spread that message that you want to spread in the best way. Words are my jam, and that's what we're talking about in today's Instagram Live. So if you have any questions about caption writing at all, your brand voice, how to craft your messaging, how to relate to your ideal audience on Instagram, drop them below. That's what we're chatting about today. You know that I totally geek out when it comes to caption writing and just anything that has to do with language. And so I'm going to probably be very energetic on this live today. Tanny says, I love that you do geek out about writing. It just lights me up. I don't know what it is. It's one of the ways that you can really, really move people, right? That's what I really, really enjoy. And that's what we want to do with your Instagram captions. So that's what we are doing today. That's what we're talking about. So why is this important? Let's start there. The first thing I want to remind you of, I say this a lot, the first thing I want to touch on real quick is why it really is so important to make sure that you are writing captions that your ideal audience actually pays attention to and will take action on. And I think that you already know this, but there are a lot of people on Instagram, on social media in general, right? And our ideal customers are being slapped in the face with content constantly. They're just scrolling. And it's really, really hard to capture someone's attention, B, make them actually pay attention to what you're saying, and then C, get them to take the action that you want them to take. And I think that captions are the best way to really connect with your people, spread your message, get them to take that action that you want them to take. And it is really difficult for a lot of us to write captions. I totally understand that. Most of my social map students, most of my one-on-one coaching clients, most of my one-on-one content clients who I end up creating content for, that's one of their biggest struggles, right? Is how do I write captions that people will actually want to read, actually pay pay attention to, that will stick out in their brain, that they'll remember, and that they'll take action on. So that's what we're chatting about today. The first step in writing captions that your readers will actually want to pay attention to is really honing in on the voice that you should be using in your captions, your brand's voice. And it's so funny because this is one of my favorite things to talk about. I told you I was going to geek out during this live, right? So just be ready for it. Your brand's voice is the best portrayal of your brand's personality, right? So your brand's vibe on social media is really humanizing your brand, creating a persona for your brand so that you can show up on social media in a relatable, personable way and really connect with your ideal customers on that personal level so that they will know you, like you, trust you, and feel compelled to buy from you and not the Jane Schmain brand over there that's just like yours, but not as cool. I love saying that. So that is where we start, right? Is with your brand's vibe. Firstly, it's your brand's foundation, your story, your values, all those things. And that is kind of the core of your brand, your purpose, right? But then there's your brand's voice, which is your brand's personality. It's how you relate to your customers. It's your brand's sense of humor. It's the little quirky things about your brand that can all be portrayed through your caption writing and through the words that you use, the message that you're spreading, and the way that you spread it, right? And so that's the first thing you need to do in order to create captions that your readers will actually want to pay attention to on social media is really honing in on what is my brand's personality, who is my ideal customer, and what relationship do I want to establish with them, right? So that's kind of the other side of the coin when it comes to figuring out your brand's voice. Firstly, it's your brand's personality, your sense of humor, the language that you use, all of those things. But then it's also establishing your relationship with your ideal customers and making them feel a certain way, right? So I like to use this example a lot and I geek out about it because I just love figuring out how we can make our brands more human, right? Like that is really, really, I think the best way to market in general these days, but it's also really the best way to show up on social media because social media is meant for human to human connection. And so what we're really trying to do when we hone in on your brand's vibe is figuring out who is my brand on social media, right? What is my brand's persona? Who is my brand? So I can show up in that more human way and really build my trust and affinity and compel people to want to support my brand because they feel like they're a part of it and they feel like you're a human and they love you and they want to recommend you to all their friends, right? So that's what we're doing. So when it comes to your brand's voice, my best advice for you is firstly, thinking about your brand's personality. What kind of business do you have? What kind of message are you spreading? That's why we kind of start with the story first. We will in next week's brand vibe challenge. Started through the link in my bio. But that's why we start with your story is really to figure out who the core of your brand is. Like what is your brand's foundation? And then when you consider that, think about what personality should I show up as for my brand, right? So it could be quirky, it could be nerdy, it could be non-judgmental, fun, energetic, enthusiastic. I'm describing Feel Good Social right now, which is a big reflection of me, right? But, it is very purposeful. The way that I show up on social media, it's definitely who I am, but I don't speak to you guys the same way that I speak to my boyfriend, the same way that I speak to my dog. You would get very annoyed if I spoke to you the same way I spoke to my dog because I tend to baby him a lot. You know what I mean? And so we really need to hone in on the one aspect of your personality, what really makes sense for your brand and what your ideal customers will be attracted to, what makes sense to them, and how you want to make them feel. Micah says, I love the humanizing aspect of branding. Can't wait to learn more about it. Lady, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for the challenge next week. It's so much fun. And I've shared this so many times, I feel like, in the past few weeks, but maybe this is your first time hearing it. I went through kind of this situation with my own brand, with my own business, I would call it at that point, where I really didn't know who I was and I didn't know who I wanted to work with. And I feel like a bunch of people go through that. with whatever kind of business you're creating, right? But honestly, when I started really trying to do a lot of brand soul searching, figure out who my brand is, who I am and how that translates into Feel Good Social's brand, who I want to work with and what I want to make them feel through working with Feel Good Social. When I started figuring all of that stuff out, everything like kind of started to click for me. And it was just so wonderful. It was like so exciting. It was, took away all the anxiety and pressure I was feeling for sure. And it's just more fun that way. It's more fun when your business feels aligned, when your brand feels aligned. It gives you more confidence to show up on social media in the best way, in any way, right? Before I was just feeling like this weird, I don't know what to post. I feel like I'm posting this and that and all over the place. And I don't know. I feel like I'm confusing people and we don't want to confuse people, right? And so that's why it's important to hone in on your brand's vibe, because not only does it make your business easier, your marketing easier, your life easier, but also then you start attracting the right people who you want to work with, the people who you can help and support in the best way. And it just feels so good. Hence, Feel Good Social's name. That's about the time that I switched over my brand name to Feel Good Social. Fun fact, because I kind of went through this brand epiphany through creating my brand vibe method, and it was super awesome. So when it comes to your brand's vibe and your brand's voice, I really like to use this example. Like I said before, I'm a human. I'm a complex, multifaceted human being. So are you. We show up and speak to different people in different ways every day. I don't speak to you the same way I speak to Tark, my dog, because that would be real annoying for you, like I said. And also, you know more about what I'm talking about when I talk about marketing stuff. Tark's just kind of, sometimes you guys, this is a COVID quarantine thing, but I definitely have been having so many conversations with my dogs when I'm working at home. But when it comes to your brand's voice, I really want you to think about what aspects of my personality make sense related to my brand's values, related to my brand's purpose, related to the message that I'm spreading in the world, right? For Feel Good Social, I am naturally a super bubbly person. I'm super energetic, Enneagram 7 over here. So I tend to show up with a lot of energy, but thankfully, that very much makes sense for Feel Good Social's energy as well, because one of those things that I teach when it comes to social media is I understand how confusing, annoying, time-consuming, overwhelming social media can be. And I really teach to lean into those things that you love about social media, what brings you joy, what lights you up. I think that if you create content from an energetic, joyful place, a place where you feel aligned and good about the content that you're creating, then that energy will come through the screen. And so the way I show up and my brand voice for social media a lot of times is this energetic, enthusiastic person. I want you to feel excited about social media. So that's the way I show up for you. And it just so happens to align with my authentic self, which is another brand value of social media, of Feel Good Social. But right now we're chatting about how to hone in on your brand voice. And the first thing I would ask myself, once again, is what is my brand's personality that makes sense for my business and brand? And so then the opposite side of that coin is who am I speaking to and how do I want to make them feel? And also, what relationship do I want to establish with them, right? Your brand voice and who you're speaking to and the way you speak to them can really help to establish a relationship that you want with your ideal customers, right? So for Feel Good Social, for example, I want to be your non-judgmental friend who you can, who is always going to cheer you on the sidelines, give you a kick in the butt when needed, a friendly kick in the butt for sure. And also, I want you to be able to ask me any question without feeling stupid. So that's kind of who I want to establish, or that's the relationship that I want to establish with you, right? I also want to be seen as a guide with you, right? So that's kind of bringing into play what I was talking about with my dog earlier. Like, I am not going to try to teach Tark how to use social media. So I'm never going to, actually, Sometimes he does. He's a very good dog. He's not our problem child. Stan is our other dog. He's our problem child. But Tarkin, I do have to sometimes use that stern voice with him. But I wouldn't use a stern voice with you guys. I understand how hard social media is. And so what I want to do is establish myself as this non-judgmental friend who can ask all the dumb questions to. I'm going to give you a straightforward answer. I'm not going to, I like to use this phrase as well. I don't ever I have trouble responding to those people who have a mouthful of shiny marketing lingo. I'm not going to spit out shiny marketing lingo at you. I'm going to try to always explain how to do things in the best way, in a way that makes sense and is straightforward to you, right? Shelby says, gotta love Stan. Oh, I love him so much. He's one of those dogs that's he's the perfect angel child 90% of the time. He smothers you with love. We joke that sometimes we're bah, Stan, you're gonna smother us with love. You know what I mean? However, he does have an issue in our hallways. He was a rescue and he has some aggression issues that we didn't realize. So, sometimes 10% of the time he can be just a crazy monster, which, still gotta love him. Still gotta figure out how to deal with him. But anyway, I digress. When it comes to Feel Good Social's voice, that's the example I was giving. I'm your non-judgmental friend who you can ask questions to, who's going to cheer you on. And I also am an instructor of some sort, right? Where I really thrive is teaching you how to use social media in the best way for you, teaching the educational part of it. And so whenever I was going through my whole brand soul searching and developing the brand vibe method, I kind of had this realization. I don't know if you'll appreciate this as much as I just geek out about it, but I like to say, I'm not that hoity-toity professor who's going to get on stage and read you a lecture about how to use social media, how to market your brand on social media. I'm also not necessarily that elementary school teacher. I speak it like it is. I don't coddle you necessarily. I coddle when needed, but not all the time. You know what I mean? I'm more straightforward, direct, let's make it down this hill without dying. I always say that because I realize that my educational part of my voice is actually more related to ski instructor. When I was in high school, I did an internship. I rooked my way into an internship in my senior year of high school at a local ski resort. And basically I would leave school at 10 a.m., drive an hour over the border of Michigan up to this little rinky-dink ski resort. And by the time I got up there, everyone was already in lessons for the day. So I didn't actually really have to do a lot of instructing, but they still taught me how to be a ski instructor and how to teach skiing to all of these different personalities, all of these different skill levels, all of these people who learned in different ways, right? So that's kind of how I have developed my instructor voice for Feel Good Social. Your friendly Feel Good Social ski instructor over here. We are just making sure that we are explaining social media in a way that makes the most sense for you and letting you know that you can show up on social media in a way that actually works for you, right? So anyway, going off on a little bit of a tangent over here. Cannot ski, but love to snowboard. Yes, lady, snowboarding's cool too. I snowboard as well. I'm more of a skier, but I haven't snowboarded in 2 years probably because I actually broke my collarbone last time I snowboarded and it was the dumbest thing. You'll totally relate. I was just going down a green bunny slope or whatever and just caught an edge and just face planted. And they say when you fall, when you're snowboarding, you're not supposed to put your wrists out because it's easy to break your wrist. So I was oh, okay. It was one of those slow motion moments. I was oh shoot, I'm falling, but Kins, don't put your wrist out. And so I thought that in my head. I was okay, I'm just going to take it, put my wrist back like this. Totally fell on my collarbone and broke my collarbone because apparently collarbones are really easy to break as well. And I have not gone snowboarding in a while since then, but I do like it. But it hurts when you fall. It hurts so bad when you fall. Okay. Anyway, long story short, when it comes to you honing in on your brand's voice so that you can write your captions consistently and show it more human for your brand, I want you to not only think about your brand's personality, that's kind of obvious, but also think about who is my ideal customer? How do I want to make them feel with my brand when they read my content? And then also, what relationship do I want to establish with them? Like, who am I? Who is my brand to them, right? That is so, so helpful for me, at least, for showing up and writing social media captions that feel like they're coming from the same person. So that is the first step. And if you guys want to hone in on Brand Vibe more, head to the link in my bio. We're doing the Brand Vibe Challenge next week. I would love to see you in there. I know a bunch of you already have signed up, so thank you so much. I'm so excited. And we will dive deeper into brand voice, as well as talk about story and visuals, how they all fit together, and how you can take that and show up on social media in a more cohesive and consistent way. But for now I want to chat a little bit about actually how to write captions then that your readers will read, right? And I had a wonderful audience question from my stories earlier. Sandrine asked, what's the best way to connect with your audience through captions, right? Which is kind of what we're talking about all together today, right? Is connecting with your audience through captions, humanizing your brand, showing up in a way that drives that deeper connection, builds your know, like, and trust factor so that you can grow an audience who wants to support you. You can develop your brand affinity online and just grow your genuine community of people who are awesome, who you want to work with, right? That's what we're doing today. And it does start with your brand voice, right? But then when it comes to writing captions, you guys know that I have like my notes, right? I always have to make notes so I don't go off on tons of tangents and start telling you about how I was a ski instructor in high school, which I still do, but my notes reel me back in. So when it comes to writing captions that your audience will actually connect with, I have a few tips that I want to share. And I will say, I share more in next week's challenge. So definitely go ahead there and sign up, feelgoodsocial.com/challenge. We will be diving so deep into all these topics. I love it. But the things that I wanted to share on today's live when it comes to caption writing, the first thing you can do to connect with your ideal reader and connect with them through your captions is speak directly to them. Okay. And this kind of goes into the brand voice thing, right? So we always want to understand who we are and who we're speaking to, and what kind of relationship we want to establish with them, how we want to speak to them. That is what I mean by this. But also, I'm going to simplify it completely and say, one of the best ways you can connect with your people through your captions is by just speaking directly to them, using you, including them in your captions, acting like you're speaking to one person, using affirmative language that invites them into your captions by adding a, at the end of some of your sentences, right? Like, that simple thing will do so, so much to drive that deeper connection with your reader. Right? People come to social media to connect with other people on that one-to-one level. And also it's a very casual environment, right? Like, that is what social media is. We don't come to Instagram to be lectured to from a pedestal. We come to Instagram to have one-on-one conversations with people who we want to connect with, or feel like we are reading captions that are speaking directly to me and not a room of me's, right? So one of the best things you can do when it comes to writing your captions is just make sure that you're speaking directly to those people. Make sure that you're using you. Make sure that you're speaking to one person versus a whole crowd. And it does sound like such a simple tip, but it is one of those things a lot of us struggle with in the very beginning, or that we don't even think about. Right? Firstly, whenever you're typing up your social media captions, like, a lot of us just start by thinking, okay, I'm speaking to the whole world of social media. So that's how you write up your captions. But it's very easy to then go back in and be like, oh no, I'm not speaking to the whole world of social media. I'm speaking directly to one ideal customer who I want to reach. That is so, so powerful. Also, coming back to the point that social media is casual, a lot of us struggle, especially in the very beginning when we're writing captions, to be casual. I mean, we all went to school and teachers were just pounding into us the best, like the right way to write, you know what I mean? The grammar police. We go to college, we have to write college term papers. We're taught how to write emails in a professional way and be professional. Most of our writing has been taught to us in a professional way, right? With a professional background, or from a professional lens, maybe I should say. But when it comes to social media and writing captions, no one wants to read a college term paper on Instagram. You know what I mean? No one wants to read anything that's boring on Instagram. And even though it might hurt your soul, even though it might make you cringe a little bit, if you are a grammar person, I totally get it. If you are fresh out of college or not, and you're just like holding on to the college tactics and how they taught you to write emails and all those things, like it hurts your soul at first when it comes to writing social media captions. But I would really, really like to encourage you to make it more casual if possible. So don't use third person. Speak directly to your one ideal customer, that one person who you would love to work with. Speak directly to them. That becomes easier when you hone in on your brand's voice. Don't worry. Because I know that can be a little bit confusing, but it makes such a difference. It makes such a difference. Shelby says that was one of the hardest things for me starting out. For sure, lady. I mean, I know it's hard. It's weird, and even like, it's just so funny because, we go through school being taught like to write properly and all of these things, but really like it doesn't drive that deeper connection when it comes to your marketing content. When it comes to being a human being, like the best way to market your brand on social media is to make it as human as possible. And so you wouldn't text like, oh my gosh, I saw like a meme the other day about dangling modifiers or something. And it's like, no, we dangle those modifiers on social media. It's fine. You know what I mean? Like write in a way as if you were, casually having a conversation with your ideal customer, right? I hesitate to say friend because, we all do have different ideal customers. We have different brands. We have different messages that we're spreading. And so maybe your ideal customer isn't necessarily a friend. It is for me, for sure. But I do want to encourage you to make it a casual conversation with your ideal customer, right? As if you were just like sitting for coffee, not having to prove anything, not trying to make the sale necessarily. You know what I mean? We are just trying to make your ideal customer casually feel the way they want to feel and just have a casual conversation with them, because that makes all the difference. Believe me. And like Shelby said, it can be a little hard when you're starting out. So if you need a little friendly reminder, or if you need to reach out to me and say, Kinsey, oh my gosh, I just wrote this caption, I posted it, but it hurts my soul. Reach out to me. I'll say, good job, girl. I know it's hard. Shelby was feeling the same way when we were talking about deleting followers, which is something that I teach in the social map. It hurts your soul a little bit. Sometimes writing captions that are casual hurts your soul a little bit too, but it gets easier and it works better. And it makes you feel more genuine and not like a robot on social media. And so it develops that know, like, and trust factor with your ideal customers. So that's my first tip when it comes to connecting with your people through your captions. Just speak directly to your ideal customer in a casual way will make such a huge difference, believe me. And then also, want to come back around to this little tidbit. Inviting your reader into your captions is a wonderful way to drive that deeper connection too, right? So what I mean by that is asking your reader a question. Asking your reader a question is so powerful, to just like saying, do you feel like blah, 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 blah? Or what do you think about this? Or using affirmative language can also help you do that too. So even just making a statement, I feel like dogs are cute. Don't you? Adding that little question at the end that's speaking directly to your ideal reader does so much to just like draw your reader in their brain. They're like reading it. They're like, yeah, I feel that way too. I think dogs are cute too. Like just adding that affirmative language to your captions, inviting your reader into your story, into what you're saying, is just such a great way to drive deeper connection. And it's so simple. So many of these tips are so simple, but it's just things that we need to remind ourselves of, I just said that. And actually, okay, this is a funny little tangent. I don't know if you guys know, I am Jam Gamble. This lady's name is Jam Gamble on Instagram. She is so awesome. I love her. She is just like, got the fire. She's so sassy. She's so confident. She's a speech coach. And the other day on an IG live, she was talking about, she doesn't think that you should use, in your speeches, in your language. She doesn't think is a good idea. And I don't think I agree with her. She was just saying, she gets all like finger pointy, which sometimes I do with certain topics. And she was just saying like, I don't need you to ask me. Do I know? I don't know. Like, you tell me kind of thing. And I think it might make more sense when it's like giving a speech from a stage, which is what she teaches, right? But this is kind of bringing my point back around to our social media captions. They're casual. Okay. And so the more you can do to add that language, sometimes I even use, this is another tip for driving deeper connection, making your captions more casual, is adding little asides, adding funny language that like you wouldn't ever write anywhere else, but you would speak a lot. So sometimes in my captions, I'll write, and then say something else, or I'll do like a cough, right? I'll be like, cough, this is what I really mean, cough. Or sometimes I'll even write like in my captions, because you can hear the voice in that and you can hear the personality in that. And it helps to make it more casual, and it helps to make the caption feel more like an intimate conversation that I'm having with someone, right? So that's like another fun little aside. And my whole point with Jam Gamble, who's awesome, you should totally go follow her. She is kind of teaching how to speak from a stage. And so maybe you don't want to say, in a speech that you're giving from a stage to people, but in your captions, I think it can be really, really helpful for drawing your reader in and making them feel like a part of the conversation. I am on to my final tip. When it comes to inviting people into your captions, connecting with them on a deeper level, one of the best ways you can do that is by just always ensuring that you are using some sort of universal element to relate to people on a universal level in your captions, right? So by that, I mean, as humans, a lot of us have very, very individual experiences that we go through. They're individual and unique to us, and they're wonderful to share, to give people some insight into your world and make you more unique, and all of those things help you stand out on the platform. But people don't really pay attention to stuff on social media that there isn't anything in it for them, right? We always need to make sure that we're adding some sort of value or driving that deeper connection and relatability so that people actually want to pay attention to you. So I love to encourage people to share personal stories and get super unique with it. You know what I mean? But also always make sure that you're including some sort of universal something that your ideal audience can definitely relate to so that they feel where you're coming from. And the reason I say feel is because emotions are one of the best ways to connect with people. It's one of those best universal elements that you can use in your captions, because we all experience so many different things, but we all feel the same things, right? Like, I grew up in Montana. I grew up in Missoula, Montana. Then my parents moved me to the middle of a cornfield in Indiana in middle school. Then I went to Purdue University. I was opinions editor at the college newspaper. I burnt myself out on journalism before I even made it into the communications major. Failed out of the communications major because I was spending so much time on the newspaper, which was daily. And then both of my grandpas committed suicide, and I decided, what the heck? I don't want to live a life that I don't enjoy. Like, I feel stuck in Indiana, and I just know it's like pulling teeth to try to get that degree in college right now. And I just know that I'm going to be here for 12 more years. I'm going to quit school. I'm going to find a house on Craigslist in Colorado, and I'm going to throw all my shit in a U-Haul, throw Tarkin in my passenger seat, and drive out to Breckenridge, Colorado, where I lived for 5 years before moving to Avon. All of those things are things that are probably pretty unique to me, that probably not a lot of you have specifically, uniquely experienced. But a lot of you probably have felt stuck at some point in your life, hopeless. You know, a lot of you probably have moved from somewhere to somewhere new and feeling weird and out of your element. You know, a lot of you have felt stressed and overwhelmed and confused when it comes to social media, which I totally relate with. So, you know, if we can tell our unique stories that help us stand out on the platform, but also bring in those universal elements, the universal general stories, the emotions that we feel, the transformations that we make. And whenever we can tie those together, that is what drives that deeper connection, right? That's when people are like, oh, I've totally been there where I felt stuck. You know what I mean? I just had to get out of there. And then I ended up either not doing anything and feeling stuck for a while and wishing you had, or doing something about it, chasing your joy and feeling excited that you had, or something like that, right? Like a lot of us have had those universal experiences and those universal emotions. And so if you can connect those, then it's a great way to drive that deeper connection and just write captions that move people. Write captions that build your know, like, and trust factor, that connect with people, so that people want to support you, you know, just one of those fun things I love to share. Shelby says, do you think everyone should use emojis? Oh, lady. I think emojis are wonderful. And I think it's funny because there are enough emojis out there for everyone these days, you guys. There are so many emojis to choose from. And there are some that are not very annoying. And there's some that are very annoying. You know what I mean? And so I think that emojis are actually a really, really wonderful way to express emotion on Instagram, to make your stories and your captions feel more casual and connect with people, right? One of my favorite ways to use emojis is to express emotions that, firstly, you know, it'd be awkward to write out, but also because Instagram only allows 2,200 characters, I think, somewhere around 2,000 characters, which might seem like a lot for some of you, but for me, I've found this out about myself. I am long-winded. I am almost always using up all those characters in my Instagram captions for whatever reason, right? And I kind of like it. Sometimes it's kind of a challenge to like have to cut my captions back down or whatever. And it's probably good for me because, like, you know, I can go off on so many tangents. But what I'm saying is that I really like to use emojis sometimes to drive home the emotion that I'm trying to evoke or the emotion that I'm trying to express in my captions, because it saves on character count. And also, I think emojis are a great way to break up your captions so that they're easier to read, right? I know you guys feel me with this, right? Where you're scrolling Instagram and you see a post and you're like, oh, interesting. Okay. Hit that more button. And then it's like this big block of text and you're like, I don't have time for that. Like, oh no, that's too much. I cannot read that. You know what I mean? So on Instagram, emojis, line breaks, bolding or italicizing your font using a font generator, like all of these things are wonderful to make your captions more accessible and more easy to follow, easy to read, so that you're not losing your audience just because you've written the most awesome caption in the world, but you didn't add line breaks. And so it feels like this big overwhelming block of text that no one wants to read, right? So that is why I like to use emojis. And I realize that sometimes people think that they are annoying. I was one of those people when I first started out. And now I laugh because I think I have a little bit of an emoji problem sometimes. Sometimes I do use too many. I will fully admit that. But at the same time, like I used to be one of those emoji haters. I was like, oh, so little kid. Or like that's so, you know, whatever. Like I'm not a teenager anymore. You know what I mean? But the thing is that like, you just kind of got to get over that sometimes. Your social media captions are casual. They can help you evoke that emotion. They can help you feel more casual in that way. They can help you break up your captions. I think that most brands should use emojis. I love how we got in this emoji discussion. Shelves. I'm going to put it out there. I think that any brand can use emojis and I would encourage them to do so. However, I would not like argue too hard with you if you have an emoji complex and you don't want to use them. Like, okay, fine, whatever. Don't use them. It's fine. So that's my take on emojis. Shelby says font generators are my fave. Me too, lady. It's just so nice. That's like another way to add personality to your brand, right? I use an italicized font generator a lot of times when I'm adding when I want to put emphasis on a word, when I'm being sarcastic, when I'm saying something that I'm thinking or saying some sort of dialogue and I want to break it up in that way. I use italicized fonts all the time. I use the bold fonts a lot too. Okay, my friends, I'm going to hop off here. I warned you that this was going to be a totally geeky IG live because I love chatting about writing, brand voice, captions, all those things. If you have any questions at all, whether you're on here live now or you're watching the replay, drop them in the comments below or shoot me a DM at Feel Good Social.
Well, there you have it, my friend. I hope that some of those tips were helpful for you. And if you do enjoy the Feel Good Social podcast, I would absolutely love for you to share it to your Instagram stories. Make sure you tag me at Feel Good Social so I can see it, reshare it, and spread the love right back to you. And honestly, I would just love to connect with you. Sometimes it's harder to show up for this podcast speaking to my mic and knowing that I have, people on the other side of the microphone who are listening, but not being able to have that back and forth conversation. And that's something that I would truly love to do with you. So definitely, even if you don't share the Feel Good Social podcast to your Instagram stories or anything like that, I would absolutely love for you to reach out to me on Instagram or however makes sense for you so that we can really keep this conversation going and make it two-sided, right? Because I would love to connect with you, hear from you, learn more about you, my friend. All right. I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week, and I will catch you next week with our first guest interview in a while. It's going to be a good one. It's one of my one-on-one content clients, and she is awesome. So I hope that you have a really great rest of your week, and I'll catch you next time I catch you. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.